Always use your own discernment when listening. These general readings are not a one-size-fits-all. Ultimately, you are the final say, so take what applies and leave the rest. With that being said, let's get started. Hi there, pile number one. Welcome or welcome back. So, I already love how the synchronicities are working for your pile, because we have the Archangel's Gabriel's dragon here. If you read it, it says self-discipline will speed ascension and bring joy. You can carry Archangel's diamond, and then you have a diamond right here. So this pile is very heavily guided. It would not surprise me if you had a lot of angelic guidance. There's no doubt in my mind that this pile is on an ascension journey. And while many of you that are in resonance with my readings are on an ascension journey, this particular pile feels very much on the forefront of that. This is the pile that had to learn to do it by themselves, do it on their own, so that they can help others go through it. And because you're doing it on your own, you're going to get a lot of support, a lot of angelic support. You may have a lot of signs, a lot of synchronicities, and you may notice a lot that your outside world lines up with your thoughts. It's very clear to you that the universe is talking to you. Your life purpose is directly correlated to the ascension of the collective. Many of you here are timeline setters, and they are people that are here to set a specific timeline and bring as many people as you can with you. So this pile will be put in a leadership position somewhere. And while everyone is connected to source energy, there are certain people on this planet that are put on a priority list. And I want to be clear, because I don't want this to turn into this egoic battle. The timeline that wants to be set is a priority. Taking as many people, raising the leaders that are going to ascend others are a priority. Those that are going to step up and set the timeline created by Spirit are those that are going to be pushed to the front. And to not underestimate source energy when the time comes. If you have dedicated your life to Spirit, and that's where you're called, that is because you play a part, a big part, in the new earth. Whether or not you want to call it the new earth or the 1,000 years of peace, that's where we're going. And if you pick this pile, you are a priority to Spirit because you're meant to shift a huge chunk of the collective. Many of you have felt the pressure of life just like a diamond. And while much of it is hard, there's no doubt about that. It is a sacrifice that we have to make at a human level to be strong enough to take on what Spirit has in store for you. And when you go through dark times, there's always a sign to show you how divinely guided you are. They can't tell you everything, because if you knew the answers to everything you went through life, you would have not experienced the same level of pain that others have to go through. And when you tell your story, people will relate to you because you had to go through it too. So I feel in this pile, the angels, whichever one that resonates with you, are very hard on you. You may have had some very tough spiritual lessons, and a small select of you will be called to be a shadow worker because you've been in the shadows. You will work with people that are in crisis, and you will be able to help them, and you will give them hope because you've been there. So keep going, pile number one, no matter how grim it looks, and know that on the other side of your learning phase, there is a beautiful person waiting to be born. And if you are on the other side of that, enjoy co-creating with Spirit. Enjoy the surprises that Spirit has for you. And just know that Spirit is not done with you. Where you're going is very much needed. So keep learning to take action when Spirit calls. Follow the signs, even if they temporarily lead you to darkness. because even in the darkest light, there's always something to take from it. You're meant to shine, pile number 1, no matter your difficulties. Depending on where you are on this journey, you may not be shining, and that's okay because it takes time to rebuild your shine again. But you shining your light shows people that they can do it too. Just know you chose a very big blueprint, and the angels don't take that lightly. They're going to help you fulfill that blueprint and to learn how to listen to that inner voice, because that will be crucial for your protection. For many of you, you'll be asked to go to places that it's necessary to follow spirit. And for a small select of you, it will be impossible to survive in a place like this without following spirit. Ask yourself why certain people in these high up places always dodge a bullet. Because they're divinely guided. Because they're here to make a change. And you are too. So that is all I have for you, pile number 1. I hope this resonated with you, and if it did, I will see you in the next video. Bye. Always use your own discernment when listening. These general readings are not a one-size-fits-all. Ultimately, you are the final say, so take what applies and leave the rest. With that being said, let's get started. Hi there, pile number 2. Welcome or welcome back. So, there's a reconstruction going on here for pile number 2. I don't really feel like anything is in your control right now. Things may be chaotic. You're having to rely a lot on your inner strength. And you're being shifted into a new direction. And that new direction is going to require a timeline collapse. So what I'm understanding is when a timeline collapses, it's because you resolved an illusion that keeps you going down a specific timeline. So, for example, you start a business, and if you have a lot of doubt, if you have a lot of fear, there's so many different paths you can take that can get you to not start your own business. But you resolve that conflict internally, and it eliminates all those timelines, and then it raises your frequency. And that's what I'm seeing here for you, pile number 2. You're being asked to raise your frequency by collapsing a belief, a value that no longer serves your highest good, and maybe even limit certain resources that were hindering your soul's growth. And I know from personal experience, when spirit shifts you into a new frequency rather than you choosing a new frequency, it gets very real very quickly. Your life starts falling apart in whichever way is not serving your highest good. And you're basically left with no other option but to find the light at the end of the tunnel. It's hard, pile number 2. But you have to remain positive. You have to pull from that internal strength and know that on the other side of this is a better lifestyle, is a better frequency. It will help you tap into untapped potential, higher perspectives, and sometimes spiritual gifts. This is going to be one of those moments where you're going to look back and say, I don't want to do that again. But the reward was too good to pass up. What you've gained from it will be well worth the hardship. So this is just a message from the angelic realm to hang in there. You're being guided. You're being shifted to a new timeline. But in order for you to shift, something has to change. For many of you in this pile, your intuition is being heightened at this time so you can get through this challenge. Make sure you're asking for help from the divine realm. If you're doing ancestral clearing, your ancestors would be a good choice for that as well. But even with the heightened intuition, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. The challenge will definitely be difficult. You may be very connected to the angels at this time. I'm getting Michael, Metatron, and Sandalphon. If you're having challenges with a divine counterpart, a high-level divine counterpart, Metatron is most likely assisting you at this time. If you are having challenges with spiritual warfare, Archangel Michael will be assisting you. And if you are having difficulties with the material plane, most likely it will be Sandalphon. And for a small select of you, I don't know if he's considered an angel, but Melchizedek is coming through for enlightenment. So those are more specific, so take those if they resonate with you. And then there's another, Archangel Gabriel is coming through for divination. I feel many of you are going to learn a lot of things about yourself. You're going to have a lot of realizations, and you may learn a lot about the people that surround you. The change is hard because of the limiting belief, but allow it to shift, allow it to flow, surrender to spirit, and know that you are going to get everything that you need. It may not be what you want right now. You're just going to get what you need right now. And then later on, once you make it to this new timeline, it'll be exactly where you want to be. So remain positive. Just know that you're not going down the wrong path. You're just going to a better path that requires change. And make sure you follow your intuition so that you can get through this as quickly as you can. Because I feel with this pile in this particular time frame, if there's any resistance, it's just going to make this period last longer. So that is all I have for you, pile number 2. I hope this resonated with you, and if it did, I will catch you in the next video. Bye. Always use your own discernment when listening. These general readings are not a one-size-fits-all. Ultimately, you are the final say, so take what applies and leave the rest. With that being said, let's get started. Hi there, pile number 3. Welcome or welcome back. So I want to go ahead and start by saying make sure that with this specific reading that you're using your discernment to make sure that this reading is in fact for you. But in this particular reading, what I'm seeing is that you are being asked to walk away from something that is not serving your highest good. The energy may be deceptive. The energy may be an ending that needs to end. And I don't really feel here you have all the pieces of the puzzle. And it's very possible that you have 2 different directions in which your intuition has taken you down. You have the overall big picture of what it's supposed to be like, and you have what spirit is telling you to do right now. And for some reason it does not make sense, but the reason it doesn't make sense is because you don't have all the pieces. You are being asked to choose wisely about whatever it is that you are up against right now, because you have the choice to either follow your intuition or not follow your intuition. And I feel like with here, if you choose not to follow your intuition, you're still going to end up where you need to end up, but you're choosing a harder path. There may be a possibility that you need to hold back from something. There are just too many energies involved right now for you to be able to see the bigger picture. Some of these energies might be very protected by spirit, and it's just not the right time for you to know about these energies right now. I'm being shown a meme that says, where the universe gives you the test first and the lesson later. There is an opportunity for healing to be done here. It's going to be dependent on what needs to be healed. So for some of you, the healing will happen when you hold back, when you step away, when you listen to your intuition. For others of you, you're walking into a phase where something else needs to be healed, and it requires you to be away from a particular person, away from a particular environment, in a new space for that to happen. For many of you, this feels like a heavy boundary being placed by spirit, and this boundary could be linked to a place, a person, an event. And whatever this is, I feel like it's not going to support you in the next phase of your life. There's also a possibility that spirit is pulling you out of a situation before things get rough, so that somebody else's tower moment doesn't have to be yours, so a collapse of a job doesn't have to be yours, so that people that won't support your healing journey won't be your setbacks. For some of you, this is a right person, wrong time. But regardless of how this resonates with you, I am seeing two specific timelines where they're both going to the same place. But are you going to take the easier route that may be hard up front, or are you going to take the longer, harder route, which will keep you in a negative cycle until you come out of it? And then the final select would be you seeing something for what it is and healing that connection, that place, that event. And just to trust that if you follow your intuition, it will be much better for you in the long run. Spirit is coming through with an analogy of you don't know what's behind closed doors. And there's a lot of different things coming in, from deceptive friends and family to business meetings. I feel like Spirit is trying to help you and protect you right now. But if you're not following your inner guidance, you'll have to face the trials that come with it. But regardless what you choose, you will still end up at this Six of Wands energy. It's just which path do you want to take. So that is all I have for you, pile number 3. I hope this helped and resonated with you. And if it did, I will catch you in the next video. Bye. Always use your own discernment when listening. These general readings are not a one-size-fits-all. Ultimately, you are the final say, so take what applies and leave the rest. With that being said, let's get started. Hi there, pile number 4. Welcome or welcome back. So, you are being taken to someone that is going to teach you something about yourself, about your path, about what it is that you came here to do. Depending on what it is that Spirit wants you to learn will depend on how hard this is for you. It's going to be dependent on if this affects your conditioning, limiting beliefs. This is giving me the feeling of when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so now we have this divinely guided connection, which could be mutual. You could be teacher, you could be the teacher, you could be the student. But even in a teacher-student relationship, there's almost always an exchange of some sort. But it's time for you to expand in a particular direction. You need something in your toolkit that is going to help you on your path. For many of you, you're being asked to step out of your comfort zone, and it's going to require a teacher that contradicts your beliefs, or at least contradicts everything that you've experienced up until this point. And what they have for you is going to be so beneficial for you. Some of you, this teacher is not a physical person, but a resource of information that's going to help you going forward. And for others of you, you have been given a resource and you placed it on the back burner, and now it's time for you to do this in person with somebody that will hold you accountable. This may require a bit of healing in a particular area of your life. This may require you to give respect to something that you may have been taught your entire life to not respect. And most of that is not your fault, because we always adapt to our environment. And so for those of you that are struggling with this, just know that your environment plays a huge role in how you grow up, how you perceive things. And it's exactly how our brain is wired, to learn from our environment. And now you're being asked to confront something that may have been considered taboo or not a good path to go down. Is this kind of like the parent that expects their child to become a doctor or a lawyer, but then the child wants to turn around and become a painter? This feels a lot like jumping from one high school clique to another high school clique and being surrounded by people that are unfamiliar to you. Not because there's anything bad about them, but because it's just different. whatever the case is, just know that there's a new perspective here. And whatever this thing is, or person is, or group is, Spirit is asking you to try to understand them from an unbiased point of view. There may be triggers, but in a good way. And spirits take me back to the mutual growth, what you are giving to this person and what you are receiving from this person. This reading may be more relevant to you if you have a north node of Pisces and Aquarius. But regardless, there is a change that's happening, and it's going to require people to do things differently, to shift the planet in a direction that is more towards unity and away from division. It may require you to create something that is outside the social norms. I think this person, this resource, is going to be the light that you needed, that you didn't know you needed. Don't judge a book by its cover, or whatever cover you created. Break the conditioning and go for it. And just know that we're all conditioned in some way, shape, or form, and it's up to you to break that conditioning. Don't let your conditioning hold you back from blessings, because I think you'll be surprised just what you learn about yourself in the process, and what you can do, and what you can create. So that is all I have for you, pile number 4. I hope this helped and resonated with you, and if it did, I will catch you in the next video. Bye. Always use your own discernment when listening. These general readings are not a one-size-fits-all. Ultimately, you are the final say, so take what applies and leave the rest. With that being said, let's get started. Hey there, pile number 5. Welcome or welcome back. You have something that you love, whether it's a person, a place, or a thing. And maybe this had caused a lot of turmoil in your life, and you took a step back because you needed to experience something. You needed to be free of whatever was restricting you. Could even have been a job, but freedom is coming through. You were highly restricted in some way, shape, or form, and you took a step back for you, for your protection, because you are a beautiful person, pile number 5, and you deserve so much love. You deserve to be appreciated. I feel like in this situation, maybe you felt underappreciated. And this was a chance for you to see a different perspective, and something else to see a different perspective. Maybe in a workplace, they needed to see how much effort you put in, but they couldn't see that unless you were gone. You could apply this to family, relationships, friends, but you also had to choose yourself in the process, your freedom. And in the process, you learned a lot. And maybe you too needed to learn how much this other thing played a part in your life. And so I feel here, there's an opportunity coming up where it's going to give you a chance to reconsider. And with this reconsideration comes changed perspectives on both sides. What you deserve, what you want, and what the other party deserves and wants as well. I feel the universe is asking you to sit down with yourself for a little bit and try to approach this from a new perspective. Because when you left this situation, it was one way, and then it became another way after you left. And on the flip side of that, this thing may have left you and learned a lot along the way. It doesn't mean that you should go back to this thing or person or job per se. It means to sit down with yourself and look at it based off of what both sides have experienced and whether or not it will work this time. What is it that you truly want? And for many of you to really take a look at your ancestral patterns and take a hard look at them, because this situation may have had happen to give you an opportunity to do something different than what your family did. But you may not have seen it had you not gone down this particular route. But first and foremost is to choose love for yourself, and unconditional love for the other side as well. You are a new person, pile number 5. you and this other party. So not only is Spirit asking you to look at this from a new perspective, not the old version of you, but the new version of you. And the same with the other person. To remember what you've learned on this journey, if you choose to welcome them back into your life. Your sense of freedom, your sense of self-worth, your duty to love yourself is important. Boundaries have to be placed. Your voice needs to be heard. And I feel like this message is coming out more so for those of you that are struggling with your intuition, asking you to go back to something that you never wanted to begin with, but you do. For those of you that have intuitively chose this pile and intuitively know that this reading is for you and that you're not going back to something that is not of your highest good. This is for those of you where your intuition is leading you back, pointing you back, but then the part of our ego that says, no, 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 I don't want that again, is to just take a moment and reflect and realize that a lot of things have happened, and to just reconsider and try to approach this with a more open mind and not so much of a protective mind. Not everyone deserves a second chance, and I'm going to be real clear on that. However, if people grow and people change and they become enlightened on different perspectives, both you and this other person, second chances are warranted. Some of you came here to break a particular cycle, and it would be in your best interest to break that cycle. And I'm going to give an example here. I never had a very great relationship with a family member in my life. And part of my healing journey was to step away from this person. And I got a sense of freedom when I stepped away, or halfway between 2 points in this timeline. I reached out to this person because there was still care there. There was still love there when they were going through it. And this person reacted in a way where they didn't want me there. And I took that as all right, I'm done. A total of 7 years have passed since the first time I walked away to the moment where my intuition said it was time to go back. And my brain did not like that because I was happy, I was free, I wasn't emotionally manipulated anymore. And I'm not saying this because some tarot reader on YouTube told me to go back to this person. I did it because my own intuition told me to go back to this person. And so I want you to use discernment and make sure that this reading is for you. So I surrendered and I went back and I listened to their story. And what I realized that when I was in this person's life, I was so broken that I couldn't hear the other person. And when I got to a certain point in my healing journey and I went back and I realized just how much this other person was drowning too. And the very person that I had to be for myself, Spirit wanted me to be for this person. And I made it very clear to this person that I'm going to live my life the way that I am intuitively called. And this person has learned so much in the past 7 years that this person surrendered to it, and that was it. And as this person continued to talk, and I heard their story, and I was actually able to listen to the story this time without taking offense, without getting hurt, without internalizing, I learned that I wasn't exactly hopeful, that I too caused a lot of pain. And it doesn't make it wrong per se, because I didn't know. It was just more simply I couldn't hear it because I was in pain too. And so we had two reactive people together that couldn't make it work because we were both hurting. And this is an ancestral pattern as well for me, on both my mother's side and my father's side. And I realized very quickly that I came here to do it differently. And while the relationship is not perfect, I did choose love, unconditional love. And as a result, the other person is starting to heal. It is a process, but it is happening. And I know that was a little bit of a longer story than it needed to be, but I think Spirit is coming through to say, reconsider your past and realize that you're looking at it from a new lens, both of you. And I think you might find that there is a possibility, if you take everything that you've learned with you, your boundaries, your lessons, your growth, that there can be a happy ending here. And don't be afraid to go with the flow. One of the hardest things for me when I was told to step back into this picture was wondering what to say, how to respond. But as I went down this path, I realized that I knew how to handle every single situation that came up, and that I was a lot stronger than I realized. And I feel like this is the same for you, pile number 5, to make sure you choose love, both for you and the other person, and realize that people do change. So that is all I have for you, pile number 5. I hope this helped and resonated with you, and if it did, I will catch you in the next reading.